Hey neighbor, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and it's time for a review of the 9th studio album What the Dead Men Say by the heavy metal band Trivium. It's long overdue that I officially review a Trivium album on the channel. I became a fan a while back. I was introduced to them in 2011 with their song In Waves. My best friend Nate showed me that album, that song first, and I started falling in love, but I forgot about them for a little while. I'm picky when it comes to metal, and I can be very fickle. That's a fault and a flaw of my own, but I was reintroduced to their music with The Sin in the Sentence in 2017, and I actually featured that as an honorable mention for best albums of that year. I spent a lot of my free time in 2020 so far going back in preparation for this new album, What the Dead Men Say, rediscovering their music that I love the most. If you're wondering, personal favorites outside of, say, The Sin in the Sentence, I do dig a lot of In Waves, but Shogun and Silence in the Snow are probably tops for me. And of course, this new one, What the Dead Men Say. Wow, this album definitely feels like some sort of renewed focus is continuing to throttle Trivium. The two singles that I heard were fantastic. The title track, What the Dead Men Say, is not only catchy as hell, but it's fierce. And then Catastrophist, that almost upped it. They're very close in terms of duking it out. I love both songs, so it got me incredibly stoked to check out the record. And did it deliver? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a massive album that proves that Trivium truly can get the job done and reinvigorate themselves 20 plus years into their career. Now, of course, a lot of the renewed sense of focus has possibly come from their newest member. They've changed out drummers plenty of times, but I really hope that Alex Bent stays in the band because he is a huge part of the lifeblood of what is making current Trivium work so well. Alex's playing style really helps define a large portion of this record. He's so talented behind the kit. I love the throttling drums, how they can feel like a bullet to the chest in places with some of these double bass pedals working overtime in the background, but also some of the lighter moments that let off the pedal, let the guitar become more melodic. This album just feels like an encapsulation of everything that they've done up to this point. You're gonna hear everything from maybe a little bit of deathcore, to metalcore, to thrashiness, and of course, heavy metal. Every single band member brought something to the table, and that is very apparent. I love the fact that they play off of each other. No one feels like they're not contributing. Obviously, I think all of the members have been through things, and there's a lot of things that feel very timely, even though they weren't maybe written to define one thing. Now that we're all dealing with COVID-19 worldwide, it does feel almost a bit haunting. There's high emotions and there's definitely anger, but it's coming from such a genuine place that despite a lot of metal just feeling a little bit cheesy to me, especially lyrically, this actually cracks a nerve. There's some pretty wild guitar solos on this album that really pay off in a big way. They kind of change up the pace and the tempo, and to have multiple sections like that pulled off so well, it definitely screams as a testament to their band and their talent, but it's also just calling back to some of the things that they've done well in the past and then almost one-upping themselves. I almost want this album to be a little bit longer. I mean, it's 46 minutes. The Sin in the Sentence was almost an hour. This just doesn't even feel like 46 minutes because you get sucked like a vacuum into this world and then shot back out and you're like, okay, let's write it again. You may have guessed my feelings on this already, but the title track, What the Dead Men Say, is easily among the best things that Trivium have ever created. I love the way that this song just pulls from a lot of different experiences. The hook is irresistible, and the last couple of minutes, including the breakdown of this song, the way that the guitars carve out their own lane, it's fascinating. Matt's voice on Amongst the Shadows and Stones absolutely decimates anything in its path. He is pissed the fuck off here. As they talk about authorities abusing power, it feels very timely, like I already alluded to. There's even a one-liner here that says, "We're dying for nothing at all." And with the current pandemic and the mismanagement and the failures of our government in America and even worldwide, places like Brazil, it is so hard to listen to this song in a way without feeling that anger yourself, and that is a good thing. He sounds so confident, so aggressive. The guitars here are relentless, and I wouldn't have it any other way. That song, the title track, What the Dead Men Say, and Scattering the Ashes are probably my holy trifecta for the record, if you will. This song in particular really stood out to me because it's talking about a specific death that affected one of the members. but it brings in these really energetic guitars. I love the way that they just click. Something goes off in your head. They lay it down so smoothly. They're very melodic, but there's also a deep-seated heaviness to the emotion that kind of weighs on you throughout the song. Despite Bleed Into Me sounding a little bit radio-friendly, I don't necessarily see that as a detractor. The song is very well composed. I love the strong-edged guitars on this one. Also, Matt's voice, it's definitely crying out for something, the discontentment of life around us, why we maybe do the things we do, give into the vices that we give into. It's one of the shortest songs on the record, but it still manages to get a lot done, even if it's maybe not top tier in their entire discography. Sickness Unto You channels a lot of internal conflict. I believe this was primarily Matt writing the lyrics on this one, and you can really feel the tension as this song really starts off with a spotlight on the vocals. We get a light drum fill kind of crescendoing in, and then the bass work on this track is so detailed, very nuanced. There's a good groove, also some very spry and limber guitars. This track is a little bit chaotic, but in a very, very good way. Bending the Arc to Fear was the only song on the record that I really didn't care for all that much. It felt very predictable, like I could see what was coming. If I hadn't heard it from them, then I've heard it from somebody else. The guitars weren't very interesting. Not that they were totally lifeless or stagnant, they just felt by the numbers. It almost reminded me a little bit of Bullet for My Valentine, and I'm not a huge fan of them. I kind of used to be when I was like very young, but I fell by the wayside with them. And I've heard some people say that Matt from this band reminds them of Matt from that band, and I hear it in places, but on tracks like this, I guess it's seen in more of a negative light. Thank God we end the record on an ascendant note that really leaves a very good taste in my mouth. The Ones We Leave Behind is a really great tune. Musically, it's captivating, intoxicating in many different ways. The drums are great here. I love the guitars and the fact that they really pick up the pace. It started off as a slow song apparently in the studio, and they slowly worked on it, made it heavier, made it faster, and whatever they did, oh, it worked. Overall, this is definitely one of their best to date. I think that the lyrics can feel a little bit safe in places, a little bit by the numbers, but again, with metal, sometimes I forgive that a little bit more, especially if the music is that interesting, entertaining, or intoxicating in some manner. And What the Dead Men Say is getting a strong 4 out of 5 that could potentially be bumped up to a 4.5 over time, but a strong 4 for now. And I would love to know what you think of Trivium's album in the comments section down below. I don't think too many Trivium fans or metalheads at large are going to be let down by this record, but again, join the discussion down below. Let me know what you're feeling about the record. If you want to see another rock review, then tap right here, or tap here for another recent video I posted on the channel. All of my socials, including my Patreon, can be found in the description, and I will see you soon for more right here on ARTV.